Happy Friday morning, everybody. As you come into the room, tell me your name, location, or your location as you are checking in. If you're on TikTok, tap the screen and like the live. TikTok hasn't fully populated yet, but those of you who are in here, tap the screen and like the live so we can get into this, get into the proceedings this morning. We are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble, live on YouTube. Let me check if we are live on X. It says that we are. And looking over on X, yes, we are live on X. Good morning, everybody on X. We are also live on, my name on X is Dre All Day, YouTube / Dre All Day as well. Rumble, I think, excuse me, Rumble, I think is also Dre All Day. Let me see if I can find out. What is my name on Rumble? It is, yes. Rumble is Dre All Day. YouTube Dre All Day, X Dre All Day. So we're starting to catch up. On Facebook, it is Work on Your Game University. I had Work on Your Game. That page got hacked. On LinkedIn, it is Dre All Day. Instagram is Dre Baldwin. Somebody has Dre All Day on Instagram, and I think I tried to reach this person and try to get the Dre All Day name, but they didn't respond. So there's somebody who has the Instagram account that is just straight Dre All Day. Let me see if I can find it. There was somebody who just had the name Dre All Day, and I don't even see it. There's a lot of people who try to use it, but the actual name, the Instagram account name, I don't even see it. Maybe I can grab it. Let's see. I have to look it up. On Instagram, it is Dre Baldwin for now. And on TikTok, it is Work on Your Game. So let me check. Instagram. Yeah, there is a person who has it. This person is, says the profile doesn't exist. So let's see. All right, we'll see if I can change it. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, as y'all coming in, tap the screen. We are talking today about this Texas redistricting battle. This whole battle about districts in the state of Texas. Y'all may have heard of it. I saw Barack Obama pipe up about this. Of course, the politicians are all crowing about this. Specifically, the Democrat politicians are crowing about this, especially those who are from Texas, but then a bunch who are not from Texas. Tell me your locations as y'all are checking in. Let me shout out a couple of people, and then we will get into this as y'all are checking in. Again, tell me your locations, and we will get to it. Nikki, good morning. Happy Friday. Nikki checking in from Connecticut. Jules from Northern California. Shout out to Northern California. It's a little bit too windy and cold for me up there, but a beautiful place. It's good to look at. I wasn't a big fan of the weather in Northern California. Connecticut, Trucker J. Trucker J, you be getting around, man. You be every state in the country. You're in Connecticut. That's a lot of driving, man. Shout out to the drivers out there. Marky Man, good morning. Ron checking in from Lima. I think that's Lima, Ohio. Ron Johnson, good morning. Marky Man said received the books yesterday. Shout out to everybody who has the books. If you don't have any of my books, you can probably start with my most popular book. That's this book right here called The Third Day, The Decision that Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. This book is all about how you show up as a professional and give your best effort on days where you do not feel like being at work. Today is Friday. This is one of those days where a bunch of you probably don't feel like working. You're looking forward to the weekend. It's the summertime. It's hot. You're tired. This book is about how do you systematically show up anyway and give a great effort that day. That's what separates the pros from the amateurs. I'll give you the book for free. Just go to thirddaybook.com. That's all spelled out. Third day, then the word book.com. Or just go to the links in my profile and you will see places where you can get this book or comments, the metadata on YouTube, on X. Just go to thirddaybook.com. LinkedIn, this should be somewhere on my profile. TikTok is the link in my profile. Instagram, this link is in my profile. So thirddaybook.com for anybody who doesn't have my books yet. Shout out to you, Marky Man. You received your books. Well, they're your books now. It's my book. I wrote it, but it's your book now. You got it. So Kathleen said this will be good. I agree, Kathleen. This will be good. Carol Ann Collins from Newburgh, New York. Good morning. Kathleen said Beto O'Rourke. Is that the person who was talking about it? Courtney, good morning. Kathleen is checking in from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Shout out to Oklahoma. I've been to a few places in Oklahoma. I was in, see if I can remember the towns. Ada, Oklahoma, I've been to. I can't remember the names of the places, but several towns in Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma, I've been to. If I think about it a little bit, maybe some of the names will come back to me. Erica checking in from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Shout out to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I have been there. My hometown is Philadelphia, PA, so I've been everywhere in Pennsylvania. Natural Real Sweetness checking in from Tampa. Shout out to Tampa, Florida. Shout out to Carrollwood. I used to live in Carrollwood, the Carrollwood section of Tampa. Shout out to Tampa. Where else was I in Tampa? Shout out to Palm Harbor, small town, but I was there for a little bit. Shout out to Clearwater. I used to go to the LA Fitness right there. The Phillies baseball stadium, their spring training stadium is right there next to the gym, next to the LA Fitness in Clearwater. So shout out to them. There's another LA Fitness they put like further up the road. Shout out to Clearwater Beach, also a very clean beach. They got a lot of birds, a lot of very aggressive seagulls at that beach. But otherwise, I like Clearwater Beach. There's a Rita's Water Ice over there too. Shout out to Rita's Water Ice. Don Johnson checking in from Ohio. Good morning. New Mexico. Duke City Hunter standing with you. Thank you, New Mexico. Manson, North Carolina. Kuya bin Yasharal. Dwayne, Detroit in the house. Don Johnson from Lima, Ohio. Good morning. Be More Polo said, what's up, Dre? What's the topic today? The topic today is this Texas redistricting battle, this battle about the districts in the state of Texas. Doc Ivory said golly. I don't know if that's a place or not. Florida man from Tampa. Shout out to Tampa. So we got a few people from Tampa. Kiki Lockett Harris from Houston. Shout out to Houston. I have been to Houston. Beautiful place. Pretty good weather. Not quite South Florida, but Texas, Houston, Texas, I like. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Kathleen, Oklahoma. Big Zaza said Trump won Texas. Yes, that is a fact. Trump did win Texas. Every Republican wins Texas. It wasn't just Trump. Every Republican wins Texas. Even when they don't win the election, they win Texas. I mean, John Kerry won Texas. Not John Kerry. He's a Democrat. W won, but McCain won Texas. And what's the other guy's name? Mitt Romney, he won Texas too. Even Trump in 2020, he won Texas. But anyway, let's get into this topic here today. More than 50 Texas House Democrats. This is the story, so all of you understand what we're talking about. 50 House Democrats in the state of Texas. So the state of Texas, every state has their own House of Representatives and their own representatives within the state. And these people, or from the state, let's say, 50 Texas House Democrats fled the state of Texas in order to block a redistricting vote being pushed by Republicans. So the Republicans are trying to push a vote that would basically allow the state of Texas to redistrict the state, which essentially, and again, I'm painting with a pretty broad brush here, would make states lean more to the right and basically give the Republicans a little bit more power, or maybe significantly more power in the state of Texas a bunch of Democrats in the state of Texas. Of course, they don't want that to happen. So they are trying to block the voting from even happening. Because what happens is they introduce this thing, well, it brings into question this thing called the quorum. So the quorum, I didn't know what this was, but I went and looked it up and figured out what it means. So they denied the legislature this thing called a quorum. So in order to have a vote, you need a certain number of representatives actually participating in the vote. And if not enough people are present to actually vote, you can't vote. So they are basically blocking the vote from happening by refusing to come to work. That's what these people are doing. Long story short. So the vote can't happen because there are not enough people at work. So the redistricting plan in question is a mid-decade attempt, 2025, to redraw congressional lines, which would give probably Republicans 5 new seats in the House of Representatives, which gives Republicans more power in D.C. and in the state of Texas. And of course, the Democrats don't want that to happen. This could dramatically reshape future elections. I don't know exactly why that is said. It will reshape future elections because Republicans always win the state of Texas. But anyway, that's what it says. Democrats claim that it is a blatant gerrymander, that the Democrats say that the Republicans are trying to lock in Republican dominance, while Republicans say it's a legal update based on current population data. So the Republicans are saying just based on the population, we need to do this. And the Democrats say, well, y'all are just trying to get control and make everything Republican. So this standoff has become a national flashpoint. I do not live in the state of Texas and never have. Had been to Texas several places, but never lived in Texas. This has become a national topic with legal threats, party politics, and even public safety issues now in play. So this is what we're going to talk about here today. So let's see exactly what the Democrats are meaning by this gerrymandering. Let's get a clear definition of what this term is. Gerrymandering is when political district boundaries are drawn in a way that gives one political party, group, or candidate an unfair advantage over others. So the Democrats are claiming that the Republicans are trying to give themselves a unfair, not a fair, but an unfair political advantage over the Democrats by doing this thing called gerrymandering. So instead of drawing a district so that each one represents a fair and balanced group of voters, that's what you're allegedly supposed to do. They're saying that the Republicans are trying to manipulate the lines so that they can influence election outcomes. And you can do this in basically 2 different ways. One is concentrating as many of the opposing party's voters. In other words, the Democrats are saying that the Republicans are trying to take all the Democrats' voters and put them in a few districts so that the Democrats can only win those handful of districts that they have. So they can win, but the state of Texas is very big. So if you put all the Democrat voters, the way they draw the lines, into a few certain packs, yeah, they'll dominate in those packs, but all the other packs, they can't win. So they win big in those little spaces, but they have less influence overall. And the other way you can do it is by cracking. And cracking means spreading another party's voters across several districts so they can't have a majority anywhere, and that would weaken their overall voting power. So it's named after this case that happened in 1812. There was a governor in the state of Massachusetts named Elbridge Gerry, or Gary. He approved a district that was shaped so oddly that it looked like a salamander, so people called it gerrymander. So salamander, and his name was Jerry, so that's where gerrymander comes from. None of you knew that. I didn't know that either, so I just read that. So the key point is gerrymandering is legal in a lot of places unless it violates specific rules like racial discrimination. It's one of the biggest ways the politicians choose their voters instead of voters choosing politicians. So without going into any further explanation on this point alone, this is another reason why you should not trust politicians. Whether you're on the left or the right, you shouldn't trust them because this is actually legal, and they do this on purpose so that they can choose how they can win or who their voters are going to be, as opposed to letting the voters just choose plain and simple who we want. So that's what the issue is right now in terms of the Democrats making this claim. And this has become a national flashpoint. So we're going to get into more details of this in a moment. Let me introduce myself first for those who don't know me. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of several books. I told you how you can get my book, The Third Day. You get this book for free. Just go to thirddaybook.com. I'll ship you a physical copy of the book. Run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we help high-level, high-performing professionals and high-level, high-performing teams weaponize performance, discipline, and accountability. We have a system that is all based on the things that I pull from my background as a pro athlete, and we have systematized discipline. We weaponize performance, systematized discipline for high-performing individuals and teams. So if you have a team that you want to perform at a high level, and or you are a person who wants to or is used to performing at a high level, go to the links that you see in my profile. The link in my profile on every one of these apps will take you to where you can get more information about working with me and learning more about how we do what we do. So I'm live on 7 different platforms right now. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Rumble, and YouTube. So the replay to this will be on my YouTube channel. So if any of you miss anything, the replay is on YouTube. If I tell you I've talked about a subject already, the replay is on YouTube. And if I get kicked off of any of these apps, usually it's TikTok when I get kicked off. I've been suspended 15 times in the last year. Just jump over to Instagram or YouTube. The links are in my profile where you can keep up, just in case that happens. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think it's going to happen today with today's topic, but sometimes I touch on topics where it gets dangerous or subjects that people get mad at me about. I don't think this is one of them, but you never know. So let's get into it here today. By the way, I'm going to go over the content for about 27 more minutes max. Then we're going to open the floor up for conversation. So I do respond to comments. I do read comments only after I'm done with the content. So I'm going to get done with the content in about 26 minutes. Then we're going to get into the comments. I'm going to do that for about 45 minutes. We will be finished at 9:30. No waiting. Okay. 9:30 a.m. will be done. I start these lives at 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Any of you who is new and you just want to know, do I do this normally? The answer is yes. 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. So it's 8:19 Eastern right now. Let's get into it. So redistricting, what it does is, and that just means redrawing the lines of the districts. This is what the Democrats are saying the Republicans are doing unfairly. It's not that you can't do it. They're saying they're doing it unfairly. So redistricting shapes political power. It determines who controls what district for the next decade. And these decisions affect everything from congressional seats to school boards, and it can lock in power for years. So this controls a whole lot of things. I think all of you can agree that there's a big difference when the Republicans are controlling, let's just say, how things go in schools, what you can do, what you can't do, versus when the Democrats control it. I think most of us can agree to that. Whether you like one side or the other is irrelevant, but we can agree that they look at things differently. Here in the state of Florida, we have Governor Ron DeSantis, who is, everybody knows he's a Republican. He was on the short list of possible candidates for president, didn't run. And well, it looked like he might try to run, but then when Trump made it clear he was running, that was pretty much it. Then maybe DeSantis was going to be VP. That didn't happen either. But as governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis has made noise that has taken him public, talking about certain things when it comes to the schools, when it comes to what can be taught, what can't be taught. Some of those have become national stories as well. So the whole point being, depending on who's controlling things in a congressional district, it plays a big role in how things go in certain aspects of how things go in your way of life. For example, let's say the schools, probably also with law enforcement as well. So these decisions affect everything. We all know that. That's why this has become a big news story. That's not really why it became a news story. It became a news story because people are trying to go against anything the Republican side does, because the Republicans have a lot of power right now. The president is, in theory, a Republican. Donald Trump's not really a Republican, but he ran as a Republican. Then you have Congress, both sides of Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate right now are majority Republican. So Democrats are doing what they should do. This is what they should do, which is paint themselves as the victims who are being taken advantage of simply because they don't have a whole lot of political power right now. So instead of fighting as if this is a fair fight, they're making it seem like the Republicans are just taking advantage of their temporary advantage. They're taking advantage of their temporary advantage by trying to do things that they're not supposed to do. And then they go out to the people and they say, hey, look what the Republicans are doing that are terrible to us. And they're making this bad on everybody. Let me see if I can find what our former president, Barack Obama, what he had to say about this, because he did have something to say the other day. Let me see if I can find that post. So it's right here at the top of his profile. Barack Obama said the following. Hey, son, you want to join me?
No.
Okay, why'd you come in here? What's that?
Magenta pink.
It's pink, yeah, I see. You want to sit here
the
with me?
other pink into magenta pink. No.
Oh, you mixed them together.
Later.
Magenta pink. I didn't know the word magenta when I was your age. You want to sit up here with me? Because I'm talking to my audience. All right.
But what is that word no button for?
That right there is just letting people know that I'm on YouTube. Can you say hi to Rumble on YouTube? You got to actually say something.
Hi, Mom on YouTube.
Thank you. Can you say hi to Facebook?
Hi, Facebook.
Hi to LinkedIn.
Hi, LinkedIn.
Say hi to X. You didn't say anything.
I
X. Say hi to X.
I don't know how to start. Oops.
Oh, you dropped it. No, you can't drop it on Daddy's suit because this stuff is sticky. I can't reach it.
I can sit.
Okay. Okay.
I got you.
Can you say hi to X?
Hi X.
And hi to Instagram over here?
Hi Instagram.
And say hi to TikTok.
Hi TikTok.
And can you tell TikTok to like the live by tapping the screen? Can you say tap the screen?
Tap the screen.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so as we continue, Barack Obama says the following. So All on the Line, there's an account called All on the Line. I don't know who these people are. They're on a mission to end. Okay, so there's a whole organization out here called All on the Line. They have a website and everything, allontheline.org. All right, right here. This is, they say, they're on a mission to end gerrymandering.
What are those for?
This is me getting information as I'm talking to my audience here. They're on a mission to end gerrymandering and restore fairness to our elections and democracy. They used to be called OFA. I don't know what OFA stands for, but their whole brand is about this. Yes.
What does OFA mean?
What is what?
What does OFA mean?
OFA. It doesn't say what it means. I don't know what it means. It says formerly OFA, but it doesn't say what it stands for. But anyway, this company is called All on the Line. Here's what they said, because Barack Obama quoted them. They said, Texas, your vote matters, and so does your map. Right now, power-hungry politicians are trying to gerrymander it to silence your voices. Join Redistrict FDN. That's the National Redistricting Foundation. There's another organization that I did not know existed. So there's all these pockets of politics that we don't even know about, for a virtual event to learn how redistricting shapes your vote and how you can take action. So the interesting thing about this is then they have this graphic. Join us for a virtual event to learn how redistricting impacts. Don't make so much noise, son. I'm talking. Impacts representation and voting access, and get the tools you need to take action and make your voice heard in Texas. This happened just yesterday at 8 o'clock at night, Central Time, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So this is their call to action. One thing you should notice about this call to action is that it doesn't say Democrat or Republican. It just says power-hungry politicians. So they are painting themselves all on the line, at least in this post. They're painting themselves as bipartisan or nonpartisan. They just want to make sure everything is safe when it comes to, again, their mission is ending gerrymandering and restoring fairness to our elections and democracy. I don't know anything about this organization, but I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical as to, okay.
Gotta go get my mango.
Okay, I'll see you later. I'm skeptical as to what they make noise about and what they don't. Now, here's what former President Barack Obama had to say. He quoted their post. He said, "We can't lose focus on what matters. Right now, Republicans in Texas are trying to gerrymander district lines to unfairly win 5 seats in next year's midterm elections. This is a power grab that undermines our democracy." So a couple things for former President Barry O. All right, number one is they're trying to unfairly win 5 seats in next year's midterm elections. That gives a little bit of context as to what this is really about. And listen, are the Republicans trying to win seats in next year's midterm elections? Hell yeah. The same way Democrats are. Everybody's trying to win seats in the midterm elections. Well, there's only two sides. They're both trying to win. At the same time, when he says this is a power grab that undermines our democracy, the last 3 words of that post by President Obama, it increases skepticism. The reason why it increases skepticism is because when people start throwing around undermining or undoing or destroying or attacking our democracy, any negative word and then our democracy, it sounds like a talking point. Just because you're using a talking point does not mean you're lying. Doesn't mean that you're not telling the truth. But it increases my skepticism when you start saying, oh, whether you're trying to undermine our democracy. And I never heard this organization All on the Line saying anything about the Democrats doing anything. And I mean, how much noise did they make in 2020 when there was a whole lot of question about how that election went down? I don't know. Now, again, they said their whole organization is about gerrymandering. And let me look at them one more time. They've been around for a long time, allegedly. So I didn't know about these folks. Maybe you did. But let's continue. So the GOP is pushing this redistricting, not after a census, which happens every 10 years on the 10 years, like the 10, 20, 30. They're doing it now in 2025. And this breaks precedent. Redistricting is normally tied to a 10-year census cycle because now you count how many people are in which places. Now it makes perfect sense to redo the district lines. They're trying to do it in the middle of the 10-year period which is what the Democrats are trying to use as a main reason to bring this into question. Now, Democrats have fled the state. They've left. So Democrats who actually work in Texas, they are absent without leave, AWOL, and they fled to other states. They've gone to Illinois, they've gone to Texas, and they're out of legal reach of the state of Texas. And this prevents the state from meeting quorum, meaning you got to have enough people to actually have the vote. And they can't move the bill forward because they don't have enough people to vote. So they're basically stalling. That's what they're doing. They're stalling out this possible vote. Now, Governor Greg Abbott in the state of Texas, he's responded with threats. He said there will be fines, will be arrests, and he might even remove people from office. Now, if he could actually do that, and if he actually does do it, I'm highly skeptical. I doubt it. I think this is all political posturing. It's all playing a PR game. Every politician does this. Governor Greg Abbott is doing it. He claims that these politicians not showing up to work is a violation of public duty, and he wants consequences enforced. That's what he is saying. He wants there to be consequences because these people are not doing their job. Generally, I would say I can see both sides of it to this point. One, if the Democrats truly believe that the Republicans are doing something unfair, then they have to fight with whatever tools they have. At the same time, on the other side of this, if the Democrats are only saying that it's unfair because they can read the writing on the wall and they see they're about to lose more power, and they're losing power rightfully so because of the will of the people, then this is a game that they're playing just to manipulate the public. Then on the other side, I can see Greg Abbott saying that you all are not doing your job by leaving the state just so you can avoid the vote, which clearly looks like they're going to lose. They're not doing their jobs. I would have to say he's correct about that. How can you just leave the state when you work in the state of Texas as a representative of the people, but you're in New York or you're in Illinois specifically so you can avoid doing the job that you got hired to do? You are violating your oath.
I have pink and a bigger mango.
Yeah, I see. Okay, you going to sit down?
No.
Okay, then you hold this. You got to be quiet because I'm talking to my audience right now. Okay. So I can see more on the Republican side than the Democrat side up to this point. Because, yes, if you're using this as a tool politically, I get it. Everybody does it. They all do it. This is not new. The Republicans will do it if they need to. The Democrats are doing it right now. But you can't not go to work simply because you don't like what the outcome is looking like. So this tactic of leaving the state to block quorum is a legal thing, and it does have historical precedent. So this is not the first time it's ever been done. Democrats have done this. Republicans have done this in the past when they find themselves outnumbered. So this is a political stall tactic that is part of the game, is part of the hustle when you're in politics. They all know it. The only difference now is that we all got social media, so now everybody can talk about it and everybody can stand on their soapbox and say what they want to say, such as Barack Obama, such as Congresswoman Crockett and all these other people in Texas, Governor Abbott. They all can do this now, and they can get the message out to the everyday person who otherwise would not care about this type of stuff, such as me. So this whole situation, this proposed map would give Republicans, as I said, 3 to 5 new congressional seats if the map ends up getting voted for. That shift alone could impact national House control in the next federal election, which is the 2026 midterm elections, when a lot of votes for elections, for the House of Representatives and the Senate. Those are the two sides of what we call Congress. Those are the people who pass the laws in America, by the way, or excuse me. Those are the people who draft the bills that the president can then sign into laws. So these people are very important. Now, it's about 500 plus of them between the Senate and the House of Representatives combined. Every state gets 2 senators, no matter their size, and every state gets a certain number of representatives based on population. And again, over 500 of them total. They're the ones who decide what bills they're going to send to the president's desk, and then the president decides if he signs it, that bill becomes the law. And if the president does not sign it, also known as a veto, he sends it back to them and they can work on it again and maybe try to bring it back. But these are the people who decide what our lives are going to be, how our lives are going to be framed. And we have a system of checks and balances, but I believe the lower the levels that you go in politics, this is just a general truth, these people have more impact on your everyday life than the higher level you go. So if you're talking about the president and Congress, Congress has less overall, they're lower on this totem pole than the president. I believe Congress has more impact on what happens in our everyday lives than the president does. And if you go lower than Congress, you go to your state level, they have more impact. You go to your local level, they have more impact. The closer they are to you, the more impact they're really having on your real life. A lot of people focus on the president, But the real things that affect your everyday life, what's happening in your schools, what's happening with the cops, what's happening with the pothole down the street, the closer you get to the local level, the more impact these people are having. And this shift, if the Republicans get more control in the House of Representatives, this can be, or if they get more control in their district, they can definitely have a bigger effect on what's happening in the House of Representatives, which could determine what bills and laws possibly get passed between 2026 and 2028, the last 2 years of the Trump administration. So is this a big deal? The answer is yes, it is. It is a big deal for both sides. Because we all know the way it works in politics, generally speaking, is that whoever the president is during their first 2 years, they have whatever they have. So let's say they have the Congress is split. Let's say you got a Democrat president and Congress is split, half Democrat, half Republican. Things go how they go. Or if it's all on one side, Republican, 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 president, House, Senate, like it is right now, usually, almost always, there is, this is one of the laws, this is one of Sir Isaac Newton's 3 laws of motion, is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So after 2 whole years of the Republicans controlling both the executive branch and Congress, guarantee between the Senate and the House of Representatives, one of them is going to flip to majority Democrat power in 2026. I would be willing to bet money on that. I'm not a gambling man, but if I was, I would bet money on that. At least one of those 2 sides is going to flip to majority Democrat in 2026. And not because the Republicans did anything wrong. It's not because I'm a Democrat or a Republican. I'm neither one. I have no political leaning. It's because when Republicans control everything for now, there's got to be a pushback of Democrats getting some more power. One of the good things about us having this binary system, Democrat and Republican, is that neither side can ever stay in power long enough to do whatever they want and just rule in tyranny, because the other side always comes and grabs some back. So you look at our presidents. We had Clinton. Well, we had H.W. Bush, first Bush. Then we had Clinton, who was a Republican, Democrat. Then we got W for 2 terms. Then we got Obama for 2 terms. Then we got Trump for 1. Then we got Biden for 1. Then we got Trump for 1. There's always this seesaw game going on. Never in modern times, we don't see Democrat, Democrat, Democrat all the way through, nor do we see it on the other side with the Republicans. There's always this bounce back. So I know it's going to bounce back simply because the Republicans got all the power. It doesn't. You don't need to examine anything, policies or anything. It's going to bounce back. So the Democrats seeing this, and the Republicans also seeing it, they know this game. They're trying to give themselves as much chance as possible to stack the deck so that they can maybe keep control of the House of Representatives in 2026. The Republicans and the Democrats are trying to put themselves in position to where they can get control. And this is all a control game being played. And here's the big question that nobody's talking about when they talk about these things. Barack Obama, this company called All on the Line, I'm assuming they're a nonprofit organization. They probably present themselves as one. It says .org, so I'm assuming it's nonprofit. And I'm just looking into what they're saying. Our work, take action. Let's just see what their work is. Their mission is ending gerrymandering. National campaign to restore fairness to our democracy and ensure every American has an equal say in our government. All right, this is a bullshit frame. First of all, know what question nobody's asking? What does any of this have to do with the everyday person? Notice nobody's talking about that. None of them is talking about this. Now they're all, without saying it, they're saying that if you allow this unfairness to happen, then that's going to hurt you in some way, shape, or form. But they're not. That's not really what this is about. This is about political power. That's all this is about. Political power amongst the people who play the political power game, which ain't you and it ain't me. Is not the everyday person. It's not the everyday person trying to pay their bills and take care of their kids and buy groceries. It's not that person. This is all about politicians playing political games amongst each other. This is basically the Game of Thrones. That's what this is. And everybody else, all the everyday citizens are just peasants in this game. You're pawns in this chess game that they're playing that you don't really matter. This is about them against them. This is not about the Democrats trying to help Democrat voters and Republicans trying to help Republicans. That's not what this is. And this whole thing of fairness in our democracy, and this is what All on the Line, this website that this company, Barack Obama quoted, he said, well, they say, they want to make sure every American has an equal say in our government. Let me ask a question, audience, in the comments. Give me a yes or no. Do you have an equal say in the government? Do you have an equal say in the government compared to what the politicians get to do? Now, I know ostensibly we vote for the politicians, but do we have an equal say? Give me a yes or a no. Do all Americans have an equal say in what happens in our government? That's what it says on this website, All on the Line. Their whole thing is they're fighting gerrymandering, allegedly. And all of you are saying overwhelmingly the answer is no. All right, none of us believes we have an equal say in what happens in the government. All of us generally understand, and I'll say this, let me say it myself, I won't put words in you all's mouths, that the politicians, once they get into position, I've talked about this many times, politicians in America do not get into politics because they just want to help people. They all claim that they just want to help people. There are a few who I actually do believe are doing it. There are a few politicians who I believe they get into politics because they really do want to make an impact and make a difference, and that's what they see as the best possible way to make it happen. I believe there are a few who do that. I believe it's fewer than half of them. I believe the majority of them, that means more than half of the politicians who get into politics in the United States of America, are doing it because they want access to power. And getting into politics does give you access to power. That's what I believe most politicians are doing. They're just looking to get more access to power, and is the best way that they can get there other than doing what else they could do. A lot of politicians have law degrees. You get a law degree, you can get a good job. You can make money. You can make probably the same or maybe even more money than you make as a politician, or at least the salary that you get paid as a politician. Excuse me. Let me correct myself. But you don't get that much access to power by just being a good lawyer. All right, there are plenty of good lawyers. We can say their names. You got Alan Dershowitz, you got Johnny Cochran, and Thurgood Marshall back in the day. They've got plenty of good lawyers, but how much power do they actually have? Not much, really. They make money. They have influence. They're known. They get a phone call when somebody needs them. But who has more power? A politician who's been in Congress for 20 years or a lawyer who's good at solving cases or winning cases? Absolutely is the politician. They get into politics because they want access to power, not because they're trying to help you necessarily. But again, if you ask any politician, why'd you do it? They're all going to give you some story that's all about helping other people. Some of them are telling the truth. Some of them are completely lying. And some of them are mixing the two together. They got some lies in there and some truth mixed in. And if you're not good at deciphering what they're saying or knowing their real backgrounds, then you can be easily fooled by the nonsense. That's how I see most politicians. I don't believe any politician. I don't trust any politician. I do not want the government in my business. The government has two jobs and two jobs only. Number one, protect my God-given rights. And number two, or defend my God-given rights. And number two, stay the hell out my way. That's it. I don't want a politician doing anything else. I don't really care I do care what they have to say just so I can notice their nonsense when they're saying it. But overall, the politician's job is not to help you. So any of you who think the politicians are here to help you, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. That's not what they're there to do. What they're there to do is help themselves. And if you happen to get helped in the process, cool. And if you don't get helped in the process, also cool. All right. The government is not here to serve you. And if you are in a position where the government is serving you, you have put yourself in a precarious situation. And on top of that, anything the government does provide to us, like public schooling, like food from the government, people talking about kids should be able to eat lunch at school. Well, that's a government-sponsored school, and you're going to be eating government-sponsored food. No, thank you. I don't want my kid eating that. I want my kid eating anything that came from the government. If the government made it in their kitchen, I'm not eating it. And my children will not eat it. And shout out to the teachers. I'm sure we may have one or two listening right now, but I don't want government-sponsored teachers teaching my kids. No disrespect to any of you teachers. I'm a product of the public school system, but I don't want government-sponsored teachers and government-paid teachers teaching my kids, because the government tells you what you can and can't tell my kids. No, thank you. So I don't want anything that comes from the government, generally speaking. But I digress. Now, most voters don't understand the concept of redistricting. Let me get the comments in about 5 minutes. Most voters don't understand this concept of redistricting, but it can control outcomes more than actual voting controls outcomes, because the way you draw the district lines decides the election before anybody even votes. So the district lines matter a lot. The thing is, it is legal to redraw district lines. What the Democrats are saying is that they're just doing it unfairly. It's not that they can't do it. They're just saying that they're doing it unfairly. And this becomes, you have to go very deep into the weeds to really figure out what exactly is the Democrats' public argument versus what they're really mad about. And then what the Republicans' public argument is versus what they're really trying to do. Almost never, 99% of the time, neither side is telling you the real reason that they're trying to do what they're trying to do. Anytime somebody gives you a reason that they're doing something, especially if they are explaining themselves to you, like a politician talking publicly, they're explaining themselves to the public. They will give you the good reason. They never give you the real reason. See, the real reason is what is really driving them to do what they're doing. The good reason is the thing that sounds good. It sounds just. It sounds fair. It sounds like they're just trying to do the right thing and help everybody, and they're trying to save democracy, et cetera, et cetera. All those things you hear politicians say, that's the good reason. That's the thing that you say on TV. That's the thing you post on social media. The real reason is the thing that you don't say out loud. And all of you, your job when you're listening to any public figure who claims to be doing something to help people, or they're doing something out of the kindness of their heart, or they're doing something that looks like they're making some form of sacrifice, is not that they're necessarily lying, but you always have to ask yourself, okay, they gave me the good reason. What's the real reason? And you got to dig deeper. You got to go layers deeper than what somebody tells you on the surface to find out their real reason for doing things. This applies to everyday humans the same way it applies to politicians. I'm using politicians and any kind of public figure because they all have a brand to protect, and they got to put out a certain type of message so that they can maintain a certain image of themselves. So they have to give you the good reason. Now, somebody who's an everyday person who nobody knows you, and you're not famous, you have to give a good reason too, depending on who you're talking to. But you don't have to convince as many people as a public figure. A public figure might have 1 million people who know who they are, whereas an everyday person, maybe 15 people know who you are. So you still got to give a good reason. It's just a matter of who your audience is, and how much does it matter if people believe you or not. When you're a politician and your whole career is based on people believing you enough to win elections, it matters a whole lot how much people believe you. So your good reasons need to sound good, and you got to make sure that anybody who calls out your bullshit, they can't have a big enough megaphone to expose you. All right, so that's the game when you're in politics. The game of politics is all a game of optics, image, and persuasion. Notice I didn't say anything about helping people or telling the truth or doing anything that actually moves the world forward, because that's not their job. That's the good reason job. That's not the real reason job. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? So Texas Attorney General, this guy named Ken Paxton, he is investigating whether outside donors have illegally funded the escape. In other words, if there's a representative in the state of Texas who's supposed to be there and they went and flew to New York so they could stop the state of Texas from meeting quorum, AG Ken Paxton is finding out whether some donors have paid for those flights, because allegedly that is illegal. So Beto O'Rourke, that's the person that somebody mentioned her earlier. Some say that Beto O'Rourke's group may have paid for the travel of all these people coordinated flying out of the state all at the same time. It can lead to campaign finance or bribery charges. And again, is this actually going to happen? We don't know. Is it being threatened? Of course it is. But this is all part of the political game. And I want you all to notice something. Nothing in this story has anything to do with actually helping the everyday person in any of these districts in the state of Texas or any other state in the United States of America. Nothing about this about any of that. This is all them playing games against themselves. And some of them on some level may at some point consider that. Like, wait a minute, what's this doing for any other everyday people? Nobody's asking that. Nobody's talking about it. And those of them who do consider it, like, damn, what is this doing to help anybody? They have to keep reframing the story as if they're doing something to help you. So all these people in Texas ran away from Texas. They ran away. Again, Barack Obama. We can't lose focus on what matters. Right now, Republicans in Texas are trying to gerrymander district lines to unfairly win 5 seats in next year's midterm elections. This is a power grab that undermines our democracy. See, this is Barack Obama's expertise. This is why Barack Obama was a 2-term president. The guy is very great at putting words together and giving you the good reason. Barack Obama is very good at concealing the real reason. And again, this is the reason why he won 2 elections. It's not because of his policies. It's because he's very good at telling you the story that sounds good and feels good, and he makes it sound very smooth. Barack Obama, very smooth public speaker. That's how you win elections, by the way. So that's what the Texas AG is saying, all right, that they're going to investigate. And again, a lot of this is just posturing. Now, protests have erupted in Texas. There are people protesting in Texas outside of Governor Abbott's house. They're protesting outside his house. And this is no longer just a legislative issue. It's now a public showdown. And that's pretty much true. It's a public showdown when people who don't even live in Texas are talking about it, like me, like Barack Obama, and like many of you. So bottom line is, this may be bigger than Texas. It's about power, precedent, and political resistance, because the same thing happening in Texas can happen in your state. And however this goes can influence how other states fight over control moving forward. This is what we call, if this becomes a legal battle, which pretty much it is right now, but if this ends up going to court by actual judges, this becomes legal precedent. Whatever gets ruled that yes, the Republicans can do this, or no, they cannot do that, this becomes legal precedent. And the way it works in the court of law, and a lot of people don't understand this. In the court of law, the way things work is that, of course, you have the actual laws on the books, but the purpose of a judge, the purpose of a jury is to interpret the law. Is not black and white. It's not, because if it was just black and white, if anything that happened legally was just black and white, then you could just take any legal case, put all the facts of the case into Chat GPT or Grok, and it can tell you the answer because they could just black and white. Computers don't make mistakes if you just give them black and white rules. However, the way it works in court, when you get in front of a judge, you get in front of the Supreme Court, a federal judge, a district judge, a local judge, Judge Judy, Judge Wapner, Judge Joe Brown. You get in front of a judge, what are they doing? They know what the law is, but they get to interpret based on the stories being told by both sides how they wish to enforce that law. And often, and I'm not talking about the TV judges, but in real court, a judge will often rule based on legal precedent, i.e., here's what they did in the state of Texas with the same problem. So this is what we're going to do in North Dakota based on that problem. That's what they did in Texas. We're going to follow the legal precedent. Now they did it in Texas. They did it in North Dakota. So when they had the same problem in Oregon, we're going to follow that. Now we're going to do it in New Jersey. Now we'll do it in Delaware. So however this ends up going can set the tone for how it happens everywhere else in the country. So it is serious on that level, while at the same time it's serious that I don't think any of these people give a damn about what any of us get or do or how any of us is really affected by this. This is all them playing games against each other so that they can win elections. Winning elections gives them access to more power. It is not about, the good reason is they want to win the election so that they can help you out and help me out. The real reason is they want to win the election so they can keep power. They can keep getting their access to things that they get above and beyond their paychecks and the things you can write on paper. That's really the game that they're playing. This is a career game that they're playing. They're playing the Game of Thrones, as I already explained. And you know what they said in the Game of Thrones? You either win or you die. That's what they're all trying to do right now. They're just trying to win or their careers will be over. And then they got to go actually do real work and get a real job. And none of them wants to do that. So that's why they're fighting so hard. This is not about democracy. All right, please. Anyway, all that said, folks, let's get into the commentary. I don't see anything on YouTube, Rumble Studio. I'm checking Facebook, LinkedIn. Let me see what we got over on Instagram. Oh, Willa Velez checking in from Tampa. Shout out to Willie in Tampa. You shouted me out earlier. Willie Velez, I see you. All right, let's see what we got over in the comment section on TikTok. I'm reading from oldest to newest, so if I'm not reading your comment as soon as you post it, that's because I'm reading the older comments first. Now on TikTok said, "Thanks, nice tie, jacket, and shirt combo. Thank you. I like this combo too." JK said, "Republicans support PDFs." Okay. Sean Reeves said, "Are you a lawyer?" No, I'm not a lawyer. I just play a lawyer on TikTok. I actually did a 3-part series on my podcast talking about how to play a lawyer on TikTok. I really did do a series on my podcast on that because when I do these lives on specifically the TikTok audience, people are always asking me if I'm a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I do not have a law degree. I did not study pre-law. The reason why people think I'm a lawyer, well, number one, you see me wearing the suit. And also because I'm pretty good at breaking down and explaining things. That's the reason why people ask me if I'm a lawyer, but I am not a lawyer. I just know how to break down and explain things when I understand them. A Coconut Telegraph, thank you for the badge. I think I'm better at explaining things than actual lawyers are. I'm a better communicator than a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Traditional all day, good morning. Well, heck, good morning. Bree Galaxy. Okay. Is a Blue said, "I don't like X either." I like X. X is a good place to get the news. I get most of the topics that I talk about here, I hear about them on X and then I go dive into them, and that's how they end up being live streams. Chanel Curtin Real Estate. Thank you, Chanel. Coconut Telegraph. Thank you. I'm okay. Said Virginia is a blue state. Democrats doing the very thing they're accusing Republicans in Texas. Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. They all do it. It's just this one became a national issue because some people in Texas have big megaphones that they can make it a national issue. Miranda Lynn Henry, good morning. Doc B said, "Why does it matter?" What are you referring to? I don't know what you're talking about. Please keep liking the live on TikTok. We should get 100K likes every time I go live on TikTok. We're at 57 right now. Erica Gomez, good morning. Jazz said, "You have an echo." Nothing I can do about it. Lori said, "Love President Donald J. Trump." Fine. Dora Flesh, thanks for the live. Big Dog said, "Why are kids on a live?" Kids are all over social media. Are you new to this? Kids are everywhere on social media. Bluetooth said the Democrats are the demon rats. He called them the demon rats. I don't think that was a typo. The demon rats equal triple K. Then Jim Fulton said the Democrats have gerrymandered the states for decades. Yes, exactly. Which is why, again, that's why I said this is all a political game. It's all a game of optics. They're trying to make it seem like the Republicans just started doing this out of nowhere and that they're trying to do bad when Democrats do the same thing in other states. ECA Blue said OFA one for all. I don't know what it stands. They don't say what it stands for. OFA was the name of their organization, so I don't know what it meant. Bullet 2 Tony, I get you. You're not a fan of Democrats. I get it. Good to be Joanne said maps should not be changed until 2030. Yeah, I understand that argument. So let me see if I can find out. I think Grok, anything that's current events, Grok usually has some pretty good context. Explain to me the argument that the Republicans in Texas are making for why they want to redraw the congressional district maps now in 2025 and still waiting until 2030, which is the tradition and the precedent. We'll see what Grok has to say about this. They can give me at least some surface level reason as to what the Republicans' argument is. So the Republicans in Texas, of course, they're backed by Donald Trump. They want to redraw the maps despite the traditional decennial redistricting. That's every 10 years, which would happen again 5 years from now. So their argument is based on a few key points. So one is the Department of Justice, Greg Abbott, and Republican lawmakers cite a letter that came from the DOJ a few weeks ago, where Assistant Attorney Greg Harmeet Dillon alleged that 4 Texas districts are unconstitutionally racially gerrymandered, violating the 14th Amendment. They are described as quote-unquote coalition districts where Black and Hispanic voters form a majority. Republicans argue that redrawing these maps is necessary to address these constitutional issues, though they have publicly stated that their goal is not to fix racial gerrymandering, but to enhance Republican electoral performance. That's what Republicans are saying. Why would they say that? Anyway, number 2 reason, maximizing Republican representation. The primary motivation, as acknowledged by Todd Hunter, he's a state representative, is they want to leverage political performance data to create more Republican-leaning districts. Of course they do. So they want to increase the GOP-held seats from 25 to 30, and there are only 38 congressional districts. All 30 districts would favor Trump by at least 10 points based on 2024 election outcomes. So this is a strategic move to bolster the GOP's slim House majority ahead of 2026, as we talked about. And they're saying, the Republicans argue, recent electoral trends, such as Latino voters are leaning more towards the GOP now. This is one of their arguments for why to do it. Another one is there is legal precedent for mid-decade redistricting. 2006, a Supreme Court ruling. So I just told you all this. Legal precedent. When it happens in the past, they're going to try to use it again. This forms no constitutional prohibition about redistricting in the middle of a decade. This happened in 2003 with Majority Leader Tom DeLay. He was the House Majority Leader. They did this successfully in 2003 in Texas, and the Supreme Court upheld it in 2018. So it's a very strong precedent. And they want to create competitive districts, quote unquote competitive. They say this new map creates districts that allow their candidates to compete more efficiently, emphasizing political performance over racial considerations. Now, the Democrats say this is a partisan power grab, which we already talked about. They say the timing is unusual, and they say that spreading the Republican voters to flip Democratic districts could weaken existing GOP seats. So there's a whole lot of detail that can go into this argument. And if you were a judge in court, then you got to listen to all this detail and interpret it. I don't want to do all that. That's a little bit too much. Another reason why I'm not a lawyer. Being a lawyer is a whole lot of paperwork. So good to be Joanne just answered that question. Why does Texas want to do it? Tanya Stewart said, your baby has your eyes and he's super cute. I agree on both. Thank you. Sheila said, I love how Texas Dems fled to Illinois. Illinois has the most gerrymandered map. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know about the gerrymandering thing. It's not new. Far from new. Gen X Nurse LA 79, good morning. Bullet 2 said, Texas is red, not blue. Did I say blue? I should have said red. Daenerys said, MAGA doesn't care about democracy, LOL. Well, that's what we've been told for the last 10 years. Chance Savant, Finn Myers, thank you for the follows. Diane said, check out the vegan hair care products from Beyond the Curls for your son hair. She has all types of products for his hair. Because you know, in the Miami humidity. His hair gets all curled up and tangled, and he's a kid, so she got all kind of stuff. His hair is in good shape. Ashley Michelle, thanks for the follow. Irritated by TikTok. Said USA is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Well, you get the point. I didn't say USA was a democracy. I'm reading what Barack Obama and others are saying. You get the point, though, right? All right. Well, Heck said that left is hyperbolic about the threat to democracy, think it applies to everything Trump does. Yeah, that's the problem with the phrase. When people keep throwing out that word democracy, it loses its value because they use it anytime they are trying to make the Republicans look bad. So now people just stop listening to it. They start tuning out the term. Diane said if they arrested Democrats, Trump should be in jail. For what? What'd he do? Beach Living says the will of the people, they won't need to cheat. Right. Well, that's one of their arguments. That's one of their arguments. Big Box said, why don't Texas allow the people vote? Well, right now, there's not a vote by the people. The vote is supposed to happen by the people who got voted for to do the voting. That's the whole point. Darius Cage, thanks for the follow. VT Mario says, why is watering down a minority district okay? You're taking away their choice. No one should do it. Well, your frame here is this is a straw man argument, what you're making. You are actually, it's not a straw man argument. What you're doing is what we call begging the question. So you're asking the question with a presumption already built into the question. So VT Mario, who said that they were watering down a minority district? So you said, why is it okay? Well, who said that was even happening? So you kind of went a step ahead. It's a tricky little play that people sometimes use. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but I caught you. Chris said they're going to gerrymander shit out of the state. Well, if you consider it, gerrymandering is actually okay. It's legal. Sergio said they already did a ridiculous thing in 21. Now they're just trying to piece Trump. What does that mean? Diane, thank you. Ernest Charles said that's what Democrats have been doing for years. Yeah, so many of you are saying that this is not new, and Democrats have done it too. But Heck said they shouldn't be removed for being AWOL. Seems like a temper tantrum because they don't have enough votes. They're not going to be removed. That's political posturing. That's just optics. Oh, we might remove these people. We might fine them. We might put them in jail. None of that's going to happen. They all just say stuff to get people excited. Susie Q, thanks for the follow. Traditional, congrats on the gifted badge. Kathy Tyler said, the missing piece you're leaving out is that 47, that's Trump, called the governor to have a special session for that. Why is that the missing piece? Daily Discourse said, good, I want to keep Texas red. We need to make this country red as well. Well, Texas is going to stay red. Texas ain't flipping blue. I remember during the Kamala 107 days, any of you going to read that book? During Kamala's 107 days, they were posturing her supporters. And when I say supporters, what I mean is her paid influencers on social media, specifically on X, her paid Democrat influencers. They were all claiming that Texas might flip blue because Kamala had so much, momentum and vibes at the time. And we saw how that turned out. So Texas is not about to flip blue. It's going to be a long time before that happens. Susie said Abbott needs to go when his term is up. Well, Susie, isn't that what happens when your term is up? You got to go. What else are you going to do? Rush said Trump 2028. No, that's not happening. Maybe you should say J.D. Vance 2028, or what's the other guy's name? The guy from Florida. What's his name? I can't remember his name. The guy whose name starts with an M. Alexandrian said they address how they are silencing Marco Rubio. They address how they are silencing opposition viewpoints by drowning out their voice. They all say that, though. So I don't know how much of that do we believe. They all say that. Akash said, I would have a better say if I was a corporation. Citizens versus United. Akash, you're probably right. If you are a corporation, you will have a better say. Doodleberg said no because both sides gerrymander. Yes, exactly. So a lot of you understand this. Vivitco Embry said, then they don't understand the democratic government. Who doesn't understand it? Doodlebug said power and wealth. Not sure said Eddie Murphy said it in Distinguishing Gentlemen, the land of milk and honey. What does that mean? Chad said, come to Illinois, us citizens don't matter at all. Well, see, citizens in every state believe that, Chad. That's the whole thing. Especially if you're in a state that is one side and you're on the other side. So if you're a liberal and your state is highly conservative, then you could probably feel like that. But if you're conservative and your state is conservative, you probably feel like you have more of a voice. That's the beautiful thing about the United States, is that you can move to any state that fits your desires. I'm not saying you personally. I'm saying everybody. Rosalind Smith, thanks for the follow. Rosalind Smith. Raina said, I don't trust a lawyer nor a politician. I agree with you, sir. Well, you might have to trust a lawyer. If you got to go to court, you might want to find a lawyer you can trust. Now, politicians, you don't ever have to trust them. but a lawyer, you might need one. Andre Jackson says, so they go on vacation instead of voting on Epstein's file is okay for them. How much? I don't know I don't know what's in the Epstein files, quote unquote files. Whatever files they got might not be what people think they are. But we did a whole live on that probably 2 weeks ago about the Epstein thing. Raina said, I agree 100% everything you're saying. I don't want the government in my life. Well, they don't belong in your life. So that's right. Everybody should agree with that. Government's job is to protect our rights, is not to do anything for us or to us. As soon as they start doing that, they're doing too much. This is one challenge I had with Kamala's campaign, is that she was offering all these things that she, quote unquote, what she meant was the government is going to do for you if she became president. I didn't like those offers, even though the things she was saying sounded tempting. Like, we're going to do this for black men, and we're going to do this for crypto. We're going to do this to start a business. We're going to give you this to buy a house. And all these things that she was offering, basically free lunches that she was offering. And two problems with it is, number one, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Anybody offers you something for free, there is something you got to give to get it. They're not telling you, but there's something you got to give. And number two is that the more free lunches you accept from the government, the more the government is going to extract from you in exchange for that free lunch. Because the government does not have a bunch of lunch to give away for free. The government is $37 trillion in debt. So how is Kamala Harris going to give you all this stuff and all these tax credits and all these things? Those things cost money. And who's going to pay for it? You are. So she's making it seem like she's going to give it to you when you're actually going to pay for it. It's a great political tactic to make you think like they're giving you something for free when you're actually paying for it. If you can figure out how to do that, any of you can make a lot of money. The United States government does it all the time. Katarna Rothgar says, so you plan on cooking a lot. Cool. What does that mean? Katarna, what are you talking about? T.S. Tump said, let's take away those government rights then. What does that mean? Patrick Rodriguez said, we elected the main character. This is on YouTube. We elected the main character in Epstein files, and now Americans in the humiliation phase. This narrative warfare. Epstein wasn't just a creep. He was a compromat for foreign intel. Okay, well, a lot of people are talking about the foreign intel thing with Epstein. I've heard that. I haven't dove into it. As far as the main character in the Epstein files, no, the main character in the files, Patrick, was Epstein himself. He was the main character. And the number two co-star was Ghislaine. Now, you may be number three. And if Trump is in the file, it depends on what kind of files we're talking. Trump said he was on the plane. Getting on the plane might put you in the file because you got to write their name down on the flight log. That doesn't mean he did anything illegal. Having somebody in the file and proving that they did something illegal are two different things. A lot of people are conflating them as if just because you're in the file, that proves something. It doesn't prove anything. In a court of law, you accuse somebody of a crime, you got to take them to the court of law and you got to prove it. You can't just accuse. Chad said, Illinois is a perfect example. Yeah, I've heard that. A couple people have said that. Scott said, we have seen how Democrats drew the lines. Yes, a lot of you are on to the Democrats game. Jeanette, thanks for the follow. Jennifer Booth, thanks for following. Or Jeanette, thanks for the share. You should follow too if you're not already, Jeanette. Jesus said, police blocking congressmen from going into a congressional building. Where'd that happen? What are you talking about? Gypsy said, so you're trying to say what Democrats did is a bad thing. When are we going to talk about what text? So Gypsy, you started your comment with the word so, which is often a tell for a common logical fallacy called the straw man. And then you went on and actually committed the straw man. So Gypsy, you get the straw man of the day. Congratulations, Gypsy. Straw man is a common logical fallacy when someone reframes what you said into something that you didn't say, and then they represent their straw man version of your comment back to you in the form of a comment or question, usually with ridicule or sarcasm. Gypsy, this is what you just did. You said you're trying to say what Democrats did is a bad thing. Okay, let's stop right there. First of all, Gypsy, I'm a professional at articulation. I don't need to try to say anything. Whatever I'm saying, I'm pretty clear on it. And number two, as soon as you or anyone else rephrases my words into something that you say, into your words, you automatically made it worse. Because as I just said, I'm a professional at articulation. I don't need anyone's help in articulating what I want to say. I don't try to say things, I actually say them. So this is why you got the straw man of the day. Congratulations. So Flo, thank you for the follow. Jesus said, a president considering running for a third term. He's not running for a third term. All right. Everybody knows Trump controls the news cycle by hinting at things without actually saying it clearly, because then it gets everybody all excited. And now, while everybody's talking about that, now they do what they really want to do that you don't notice because everybody's excited about the headline. Gypsy said, what's the alternative? We're going to let them redistrict so that they don't lose the election. Well, this is a false frame. You just reframe that, and you reframe that with a presumption built into it. It's also known as begging the question. Jesus said, all right, I already addressed that. Sue Smith said, I think escape is the wrong word and also the runaway. Well, whatever words you want to use. They're not in the state of Texas doing their actual jobs, and they're doing it on purpose so that they don't have to vote. So, what word you want to use? Travel? Whatever words you use, this is what they're doing. WC30, thanks for the follow. Firefly creates said, new join. How do you continue to be a lawyer in Texas when the laws are so terrible? Well, the job of being a lawyer is not to create new laws. The job is to defend your clients based on your understanding of the law. So if the laws are terrible, what does it have to do with being a lawyer? The answer is generally nothing. CEO X said they can leave if they want to. I don't know who you're talking about, but yes, anybody can leave if they want to. So whoever you're talking about, that's true. Gypsy said, you are saying, Gypsy with another straw man. She said, you are saying that these people live in their state trying to save the Democrat seats is a bad thing. Gypsy is a straw man number 2. So Gypsy, you didn't collect the 2 trophies. You're like Lauryn Hill at the Grammy Awards or Beyonce with two awards. You got another straw man. You said you are saying. All right, so that means you're rephrasing what I said into something that you say. Don't do this, Gypsy. That's a bad idea. I'm pretty good at saying what I want to say. I don't need your help reframing my thoughts. I'm pretty good at it. I've been doing this for a while. So you said, here's what she said. You are saying these people living in their state trying to save the Democrat seats is a bad thing. I did not say that. So that's also why it's a straw man. Raina said, what do you think is the government role and how do you diminish the corruption? The government's role is to protect your God-given rights and to otherwise stay out of your way. How do you diminish the corruption? Well, the government is so big and so bloated and there is so much red tape and bureaucracy in the current governmental system. What you have to do is what Trump said in 2016, which is drain the swamp. The problem with draining the swamp is that it's full of alligators and alligators don't want the swamp drained and they will fight you before they let you drain their swamp. So that's the problem. So how do you do that? How do you diminish the corruption? Well, you had to destroy the whole system. The way the system is now, it would have to be torn to the ground. And the only way that's going to happen is there must be a complete upheaval and anarchy in America because there are too many deeply entrenched people who don't want that system destroyed because too many of them have access to power and money and other things that they otherwise could not access without being a part of that system. And if you threaten that system, they will do everything they can to stop you from doing it. So that's the problem. If you want to see what happens when you come in trying to undermine that system, even though it's corrupt, look at how they responded to Donald Trump for the last 10 years. And you want to see a shorter version of it. Look what they did to Elon Musk in the 6 months he was part of Doge in the government. You go in there trying to do anything that even looks like, even smells like you're trying to fix the corruption. Look how they respond to you. So that's your answer. There had to be complete upheaval, meaning our government had to be completely overturned. So everything they accused Trump and his supporters of trying to do January 6, 2021, they would have to actually succeed. That's what would have to happen. Jesus said they cooked up false stories about Obama with no substance to smear his name. I don't know who they is, but Jesus, they do that with everyone. Same thing they did to Trump. So whatever you're saying they did about Obama, did the same thing to Trump. Well, Heck said they're helping us by trying to balance out Illinois, California, and Massachusetts. All right, fair enough. Mel said it's ridiculous. Illinois did it. No one said nothing. Well, people said stuff. They just weren't successful in making it a national news story like they did in Texas. That's the only difference. Firefly said, you see, Nebraska elective got scared by the citizens. Bring fear back. Well, fear never went away. Depends on how you do it. Gypsy said, Mister, when this is over and the light is shown, you're going to eat all these words. Lean in the way you. I don't get the second half of this, but I'm going to eat all these words. I don't think so. I disagree. Mel said, we the people in Illinois want them out of Illinois. Go back to Texas. Well, it is a free country, Mel. They can travel there if they want. Firefly said, chess is Trump's favorite game. I didn't know that. I thought his favorite game was golf. That's what I see him doing. I see him playing golf. Good-hearted Diva said, not about the people, it's all about them. I agree with you. It is about them. That part you're right about. Sai said, well, it is about democracy. The people fighting against them, it's about democracy. I don't think so, Sai. Are you? I'm hoping you're under the age of 22 making this comment that is all about democracy. No, it's not. That's what they tell you, but anybody with any life experience, especially paying attention to politics, knows it's not about democracy. Double S said, living in Texas is like you are back in the Jim Crow era. I don't think so. Double S. And you don't know anything about the Jim Crow era. I doubt you know anything about the Jim Crow era. How old are you? Terrence, 49er for life, said, nice suit. Thank you. COX said, being a lawyer doesn't make you that good at the law. Well, your job as a lawyer is not being good at the law, even necessarily. Your job is winning cases for your clients, whatever it takes. So being good at the law is not even a thing. There's no such thing as being good at the law. Your job is to interpret the law. The law is not a game. It's just something that you interpret so that you can get your desired outcome. Polynesian Kane said, what is Texas trying to do exactly, if you don't mind explaining? They're trying to redraw the district lines so that basically the Republicans will have more seats in the House of Representatives in D.C. so that they can hopefully hold on to power, Republican power, in the House of Representatives in the 2020 midterm elections. Because right now they have a slim margin. Let's find out what it is right now. How many people are currently in the House of Representatives in D.C. and how many are Democrat versus how many are Republican? Also, tell me how many are from the state of Texas and how many from each party that specifically represent the state of Texas. So answering your question, Polynesian, the Republicans are just trying to hold on to as many seats as possible from Texas in the House of Representatives. And Texas gets several seats in the House of Representatives because Texas has a lot of people. California has a lot of people. New York State has a lot of people. So because you have so many people, you get more representatives than other states that have a few people. So Rhode Island, for example, only gets many fewer representatives than the state of Texas or California. So as of August 8, 2025, there are 435 people, voting members in the House of Representatives. 6 of them are not voters. They are non-voting delegates from territories. So it's 441 members. Right now, there are 4 vacancies. So right now, there are 213 Democrats in the House and 220 Republicans. So it's very close. Republicans have a 7-person lead right now over the Democrats. Texas has a total of 38 of those 441 representatives. 38 come from the state of Texas. 25 of them are Republican. 12 are Democrats. And there's 1 vacancy because there's a person who passed away, Sylvester Turner. There's going to be an election on November 4th of this year to fill that spot. So it's 25 to 12 right now from Texas alone in the House. 25 Republicans, 12 Democrats. So the battle here is the Republicans. They want to redraw the district lines so that instead of having 25 Republican districts in Texas, because the state is broke up into districts like a puzzle piece, like puzzles. And they want to redraw those district lines so that 5 of the spaces that generally go Democrat, if they redraw it successfully the way they want to, the Republicans, those 5 spaces will now go Republican. So basically the lead, instead of being 25 to 12, is going to be 30 to 7. So basically they're just trying to increase their lead as far as Republican representation. And why does that matter? Because right now they have a very slim margin in DC, 220 to 213. So if they get 5 more, what they're doing is basically hedging their bet, to help you understand. If the state of Texas is always going to be, let's say, always going to be 25 to 12, well, Texas is always going to lean more to the right. Right now it does. What they're doing is saying if we get 5 more representatives from Texas in Congress, period, then if Illinois loses 1 and Pennsylvania loses 1 and Florida loses 1 and Maine loses 1 and Nebraska loses 1, we already made up for those losses with the 5 extra we took from Texas. So now in D.C., we still have our same lead, even though we lost 5 spots across the country. We just increased our lead by 5 from the state of Texas. So they're basically trying to hedge their bet in D.C. by what they're doing in Texas. So hopefully that makes sense to all of you. Sherman Coleman said, you're a terrific speaker. Thank you. Renewal Cleaning Services said, Little Miami River did not get raised for a vacation. That's the better reason than the truth. What does that mean? What are you talking about? Erica said, what's the name of the book? The book is called The Third Day. The decision that separates the pros from the amateurs is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. I will send you a free copy of the book. All you're going to do is cover the shipping. We'll ship you a physical copy of this book. Just go to thirddaybook.com. Spelled out, third day and the word book.com. That's the book. And if you just click the link in my profile, you'll go to a page that has links to all my stuff, so you don't have to remember that. So a bunch of you are mentioning Illinois. I didn't know that much about the Illinois thing, but now that this is coming up, I guess a bunch of you already did. Duck Butter said, California does it all the time. I believe you. CEO said, why would an illegal expose themselves to deportation under Obama back then to get deported? I don't know. What are you talking about? Ruben said, using the same strategies Democrats have used for decades. Yeah, so a bunch of you are hip to this conversation. Please keep liking and folks. We're at 92,000 likes. Let's get to 100K in the next 13 minutes, please. CEO said, race-based redistricting has always happened in America, always. Yes, I'm coming to understand that. And I see a bunch of you have said that a bunch of times here today. Mel said, all I know is the Texas Congress people need to go back and do their job. Well, every politician needs to do their job, but most of them are doing what they want to do, and they're making a show of doing their jobs. Kyle M said, Democrats do it good, Republicans do it bad. Okay, fair enough. Jen, good morning. Kate Mitchell said, what's the point of worrying about politics and none of us can do anything about it? Well, I don't think there is a point of worrying. Worrying is the key word there. I'm not worried about politics. I just use it for content. I'm not worried about it. I know what the government's role is in my life. CEO said, history proves Republicans wrong side since before Reconstruction. Wrong. Who is the judge of what's right and what's wrong? Jash said, are you MAGA or moderate Republican? What you just offered me is a false binary. You offered me only two options. I'm neither one. I have no political affiliation. Mel said, we didn't show up for work, we'd be fired. Texas Congress people need to be gone. Well, technically, it's allowed for them to do that. Technically, that's allowed. So let's see. John said it happened in Alabama. They redistrict after 2020 to gain a Democratic lawmaker. All right, there you go. Michelle Black said, you don't seem like a good person at all. Me? I'm not a good person? Why is that, Michelle? Joan Lang said Republicans need to cheat because people are going to vote them out. I don't know about that, Joan. I just told you it's 25-12 right now based on voting. So how is that? How are they going to get voted out? By what? What they're doing is actually trying to get a bigger lead. They already have the lead. They're already up. They already doubled up on the Democrats. What they're trying to do is make the lead even bigger than the one they already got. And again, they're doing it not because they're going to lose in Texas. They're doing it to help the rest of the representatives from the rest of America. So let's see. So I see a couple attorney questions here. What are y'all talking about, attorney? I'm not an attorney. So a couple more comments. We're at 10 more minutes here, folks. Let's see. Kuto said, good morning, Dre. Long time. Well, good to see you here. I've been here the whole time. Where you been? I'm trying to catch up as many comments as I can. There's a lot of comments here today. I'm not going to get to all these comments. Nothing personal if I don't read your comment. I can't read them all. Lynn Carroll, 72, Shasha, Aja, Ghostinelli, Nurse Angela. All thank you for the follows. Kate Mitchell says, stressing about politics is dumb. We have no control. Voting barely does anything. I don't think anybody is stressed about politics. Only people stressed about politics are people who get paid to talk about it. Like people on CNN. They get stressed because they make money off of it. Nightwalk said, an attempt to give Trump 5 more seats in a non-census year. Well, it's the Republicans, period, because if they successfully do this, this is going to continue even after Trump is gone. So that's what they're doing. This is a long-term game that they're playing. This is not a short game. This is not a Trump thing. Trump will be gone in 3 years. Is it 3 years, 4 years, whatever. This is a long-term play for the Republicans. John One said, the government is in our lives. I agree with that. Progress Toucher said, I'm fine with paying tax money for free lunch. I'm not fine with paying tax money for free lunch because I don't want my children eating food that came from the government. So I'm not giving my money to the government so they can give food to my kids. I'll take that same money and feed my kids myself. Why would I want to give it to the government? And all they're going to do is some of that money is going to get skimmed off the top for things that have nothing to do with food. Kobe said, having a president that's been accused of everything is diabolical. I don't know about that. Accusation doesn't mean guilt. I could accuse you of something right now. What does it matter? I still got to prove it. Rick said, taxpayers pay for everything. Government pays nothing. That's right. I agree. Lauren said, why do you think he is refusing to release the files? I don't know. First of all, it depends on if there are files, first of all, because you're thinking past the sale here. You're assuming that there are files. I don't know if there are files. Even though Pam Bondi has alluded to the list and then the files, and then there's nothing else to see here. And why are people still asking? Who knows? One thing we do know is that Joe Biden had access to these same files. So if there was anything really damning about Trump in there, then they probably would have put it out when Biden had access. So that's what I said. Progress says, so it's possible to be on the island without doing anything. Straw Man of the day, Progress Toucher, number 3 award, Progress Toucher. The award goes to Progress Toucher said, so that's a tell for the straw man. It's possible to be on the island without doing anything. And this is again when someone rephrases what you said into something that you didn't say. And I didn't say, first of all, I didn't say anything about the island. What I said is the plane. The flight logs can have names of who was on the plane. Just because you're on the plane doesn't mean you're going to the island. Airplanes can go to a lot of different places. And anyway, to answer your question here is yes, you can be on the island and I don't know what you mean by doing anything. I think you mean illegal. Yes, you could be on the island without doing anything illegal. I'm sure there are plenty of people who touched Epstein Island didn't do anything illegal. So yes, it is possible. Nicole said, following you cooking. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for the share too. Progress, you got straw man of the day. You successfully got it. I think you did that on purpose. I think Progress Toucher, you tried to get straw man of the day and you achieved it. So congratulations on reaching your goal. Raina, thank you for the follow. Brett said, hello, are you a lawyer? No, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. I'm not a lawyer. I did a whole series on my show. I was looking for it on Spotify. I didn't see it. So let me see if I can find it on Apple. But I did a whole series on my podcast explaining how to be a lawyer on the internet. I literally did a series called How to Be a Lawyer on the Internet. As you see right here, I did a 2-part series, episode 3201, How to Be a Lawyer on the Internet. And it's a sarcastic topic. I got this topic literally from y'all on TikTok because when I was doing these lives, even back in February, people would keep leaving comments and asking me if I'm a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I just wear a suit and I'm articulate and I'm good at explaining things. So people look at that combination, they assume that I'm a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I'm a business owner. I work with high performance people and high performance teams on weaponizing performance, discipline, and accountability. We have whole systems and programs for this. We work with sales teams, any type of high performer, entrepreneurs, business professionals, sales leaders. That's what we work with to help them strategically and systematically create outcomes consistently. That's what I do. I do not have a law degree. I did not pass the bar. I didn't even try. Raina, I'm in the state of Florida. Shout out to Florida. Shout out to South Florida. Marcus Hooker, thanks for the follow. Brett said, I wish you were in North Carolina. Why? What's happening in North Carolina? Kudo says she won't know who Lauryn Hill is. Yeah, it is an old reference, huh? I guess I should say Beyonce or Taylor Swift. Lauryn Hill's been gone for a long time. Well, going off the scene. She's still alive. All right, a few more comments, folks. We got 5 minutes here, then we'll wrap this one up. Uncle T-Bone said, as an attorney, how do you support a convicted felon who is an insurrectionist? So we got several things here. First of all, you got a straw man. I'm not an attorney. Secondly, you have begging the question. And he's not an insurrectionist. He is a convicted felon technically, but insurrectionist based on what? Talking about January 6th? I did a whole live on that too. So Uncle T-Bone, you got a couple logical fallacies here in the same comment. I think you're doing it on purpose. Let's see. Uncle T-Bone, you posed the same question twice. I already addressed it. A couple more comments, folks, then we'll wrap it up. Kobe said, anyone who thinks Trump can play chess is delusional. Why? Why wouldn't he be able to play chess? I mean, he did actually win an election in America twice. He wouldn't be able to play chess. I think winning an election is harder than playing chess. Sherman said, what are your overall assessment on the Biden presidency? What was Joe Biden actually doing during the last 2 years of his presidency? That's my question. I don't have an overall assessment. I just have a question. What exactly was he doing himself? I'm not sure he was doing much. That's what I say. Doodlebug said, don't census results determine the amount of reps? That's why they're fighting over ICE removals. So the first question, yes. I don't know what that has to do with ICE, though. Seth said, can we talk about Illinois? A bunch of people have mentioned them already, Seth. I've been reading the comments. Everybody been saying it. Beverly said, what search are you using? If I'm asking about a current event, I'm using Grok. And when I'm asking about something more evergreen, I usually use ChatGPT. If I'm looking up just a straight definition, like a regular word definition, then I use DuckDuckGo instead of Google. But I'm using these apps because they can give you context. Whereas you go on Google, they just give you plain information. But the AI apps give you context. So I use Grok for current events, and I use ChatGPT for evergreen subjects. Generally speaking. Lisa, thanks for the follow. A couple more comments, folks, then we'll wrap it up. We got 4 minutes to go. Christopher Barker said he want to date you, I guess. I hope not. I'm not available. Not available. Even if I was available, I'm not available. If that's a man, not available. Raina said, I'll go Florida, native born. That's what's up. What part of Florida are you in, Raina? Justify said, wake up, America. The Constitution needs to be abolished. And I don't know about that one. Alberto Garza said, what's your content about? Generally, personal and professional development for entrepreneurs and high performers. If I had to put it into a box. Personal and professional development for entrepreneurs and high performing individuals, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. So if you're a salesperson working at an insurance company, if you're on a sales team selling, you could be selling cars, you could be selling kids' toys, anywhere where high performance is the number one priority, those are the people I help. So it could be an individual person, it could be a group or a company itself. Justify said the Constitution created the possibility of Trump. What does that even mean? 20th said he did attempt to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power. Okay. I did a whole live stream on that on January 6th of this year. So please go watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. Billy said, did you just actually January 6th and Trump being an insurrectionist? Yes, I just did. I just actually did. I want to give you a straw man for that. That is exactly what I did. I did a whole live stream on it, Billy. So I didn't actually it. I did 2 hours discussing it. So if you want to hear that, it's on my YouTube channel. I don't think you really want to hear it. Delgado said Trump isn't doing anything. Is that positively or negatively? CEO said the presidential voting was by popular vote. Republicans would almost never win an election again. That's a pretty good argument. I understand. Justify said don't trust the AI. Well, where does AI get its information from? Google. Where does Google or the internet? AI gets information from the internet. Excuse me. Where does the internet get its information from? Stuff that people put on it. And where do people get their information from? So it's a circular argument. If you're not trusting AI, where did AI get its information from? Stuff that we put out. And that's where it's trained on stuff that we said. So if you don't trust AI, why? What do you trust? Google? What do you trust? Your next door neighbor? What do you trust? Are we supposed to listen to any individual person? Who? This is the reason why facts don't matter anymore, because there will come a time, that time already exists, where no one has to believe anything if they don't want to. That's where we're at. Facts don't matter these days. And I've already explained this many times. Upset, are you a fan of what the EPA is doing? I don't know what the EPA is doing, so what are you talking about? Be specific. Thanks for the follow, Taylan and Yo. Amanda Lunsford said, vote for Sheldon Daniels over Jasmine Crockett. I don't know. Crockett has a lot of momentum right now. I'm not a fan of Crockett, but it's going to be hard to beat her because she has a lot of momentum. She's built a national profile. Thanks for the follow, Justified and Chico 1212. Alberto said, nowadays emotions and egos are facts. Yeah, I mean, you're joking, but that's the reality. That's what it is. The facts don't matter anymore because no one has to agree to anything if they don't want to. No one has to accept any fact that they don't want to accept. I did one on climate change, Trucker J. I think I talked about that probably last year. User Roa said, name one thing you agree with Republicans. One thing I agree with Republicans is that I believe Donald Trump was a better presidential candidate than Kamala Harris. I do agree with that. Just looking at both of them on the surface, I think Trump was a better candidate than Kamala. So Republicans tended to think that. That's why they voted for him, and he ended up winning. Even if he had lost, I would still think that. So that's one thing. You asked, I gave it to you. Scott said, you're a good speaker at staying neutral. Well, thank you. Eric Mower said Crockett is cooked. Now, I don't know about that. She has a lot of momentum right now. Now, you may not like her. I'm not a fan of Crockett, but I can't say that she's cooked. She's very popular. And if you're popular, you win elections. Amanda says she's backed by George Soros. Yeah, we know. I've heard that before. Look up Sheldon Daniels. He's finding corruption on Jasmine Crockett. That's fine. He got to do more than that to beat her. I get finding corruption, but you still got to beat her. I mean, how many politicians have been accused of being corrupt, but they still won? So you got to win the game. So not just the moral. You can't just win the moral battle. You got to win the actual battle. Greg said Crockett is fake. Okay, fair enough. I see your point. At the same time, you still got to beat her in an election. So saying that she's fake ain't the same as winning an election. Those two different things. Justify said George Washington was a criminal, saving criminal, taking teeth from his slaves. What are you talking about? All right, everybody. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, be back on Monday. Get a free copy of my book called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. Just cover the shipping. We will ship you a free physical copy of this book. Go to ThirdDayBook.com. ThirdDayBook.com. We will ship you a physical copy of this book. We have paperback. We got the audio. This is the hardback. We got this too. We have autographed copies. You want autographed copy of my book? We'll sell you that as well. That is all at ThirdDayBook.com. Just spell it out. Third Day and then the word book. You know what a book is, right? ThirdDayBook.com. Book's free. Just cover the shipping. and we will send you a physical copy of this book. We got a bunch of books. I've written 41 books. We got a sales funnel there, so we'll send you through the funnel and offer you more books. You don't have to buy anything else. If you want to get one, get one. You want to get 15 books, get 15. We will offer them to you. Then you'll be in our world. You'll get my emails. We have a whole lot of other things. I told you my main thing is we have a program about systematizing discipline and performance and accountability for high-performing individuals. So if you consider yourself to be one of them, that is the place that you need to be inside of our world. My company is called Work on Your Game. That's the same as the title of this book right here, Work on Your Game. We'll offer you that too inside of our funnel. So Mason, I had to write it back. Yeah, a lot of people say the title is backwards. So let me flip the screen for one moment so y'all can see that. Let me see if I can remember how to flip the screen. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to mirror it just for TikTok for 1 minute. All right, TikTok. Now it's straight. There you go. ThirdDayBook.com. That's how you get the book. Everybody see it now? Everybody can see it straight? Third Day, in the word book.com. That's how you get the book. I'm going to pull up the page that what it actually looks like. So when y'all get there, y'all know what it is. And I'm going to see if I can get this Instagram name here today. I'm not sure I can, but I'm going to try. So ThirdDayBook.com. When you go to that URL, ThirdDayBook.com, you're going to come to a page that looks like this. This is our page for ThirdDayBook.com. As you can see, it says, send me your address, reserve my free copy now. Y'all see that? So everything I just told you is right here on this page. All right, I designed it myself, so I know exactly what's on this page. Go to this site, ThirdDayBook.com. Click that button right there. Form's going to come up. We're just going to ask you for your information. Put it in. Tell us where to send the book. And we will ship you a free copy of this book physically. It's called Third Day. ThirdDayBook.com. Y'all got it? ThirdDayBook.com. That's all y'all get the book. And then you'll be on my email list. You'll get other goodies and good things coming from me. I give a lot of game out through the written word, not just the spoken word. So if you like me speaking, then you like reading my stuff too. Again, that's all on that site, ThirdDayBook.com. Everybody have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. I will see you all Monday morning. Topic to be determined. What's the book about? How do you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it? It's all about what a professional has to do. You got to show up and do your job even when you don't feel like doing your job. That's what the book is about. So all of you need that because all you're professionals. All you got to show up at times you don't feel like showing up. That's why that book is as popular as it is. Right now is our most popular book. So that's why it's the one I'm telling you to go get. ThirdDayBook.com. I'll see everybody Monday morning. Work on your game. Be out.